So today's webinar is about working more flexibly with Ayoa. So what we mean by that is, we're now living in a world where most people, a lot of people, especially office workers, are now having to adapt to working remotely. And that means that you're no longer seeing your colleagues every day, you're not seeing them face to face, and suddenly communication is a lot different to how it used to be. So Ayoa is cloud-based and is perfectly adapted to helping people to work remotely, share information, and still have creative sessions without needing to be face to face. So we're just going to explore some of that functionality within Ayoa. So the first thing I'm going to look at is our mind map view. So and the benefit of Ayoa being cloud-based is that you can collaborate in real time wherever you are. So, wherever your colleagues are located, you can all be on this mind map exactly the same time. So I have a couple of different people added to this mind map. And if they start adding branches, I will be able to see exactly what they're adding in real time. To invite any additional people to your mind map, just open up the settings, click add members, and if you haven't worked with them before, pop in their email address and it will send them an invitation to sign up for Ayoa if they haven't done already. Then just click invite to mind map. So depending on what you're working on, you may want to control who can contribute what. So for example, if you wanted to share a mind map with your team, but you didn't want them to edit it, you can change their preferences to read only. And down here, you can also stop people from being able to delete other people's branches and categories. So you could change that to admin only, so only you are able to delete branches. And you can also stop other people from inviting people to the mind map as well. Now, if I want to see who's contributed to the mind map, so you might have a few people in your team who are perhaps quiet and nervous about sharing their ideas. So what you can do, you can have your brainstorming session where you add different ideas, and then later on, so if you go up to here, you can click show creators, and that will display next to the branches the avatar of the person who created it. So you can make sure that everyone, regardless of where they are in the world, they're having their ideas recognized and their contribution will be appreciated. What you can also do in these settings here, if you've got people who maybe are uncomfortable with contributing to the mind map, they can add things to what's called an idea bank. So you may not see it in this corner yet, but if you click on the menu here and click show idea bank, then this creates a space where you can just enter different ideas really quickly without adding them to the mind map itself. And you can have that so it displays to everyone, so everyone can see all those different ideas. And then it's really easy to just drag and drop them onto the mind map, and everyone can contribute to that. So there are lots of different ways to ensure that people can contribute and have their voice heard. So if you wanted a session where you really wanted to get the best out of people and you wanted to see their true ideas without being influenced by anyone else, in the ultimate version, we have an additional feature which allows you to control who can see and other people's ideas. So if I just switch to speed map. So you can see in the menu now there's an extra option called Brainstorm Solo. So if I turn that on, that means that anyone else on this mind map, if they contribute other ideas, only I, as the admin, will see those ideas, but everyone else on the team won't see it. And it's a great way of, it's essentially like being in a meeting and asking everyone to scribble down their ideas on a bit of paper without being able to see what other people are writing. It means that you can still have those creative sessions where people can really allow their ideas to shine through without being influenced by other people, while also having their ideas recognized. So you'll need to be in the speed map view to do this, but you can turn this off at any time as well. And then once you turn it off, everyone's ideas will show on the mind map. So next I'm going to have a look at task boards. So task boards are all about people management, and our task boards make it so much easier to see exactly who's working on what. So you can see here, before I even click on anything, I can see different people's avatars on the tasks. So I can see at a glance, who's working on what. I can see things that are overdue. I can see what things are urgent. It just makes it really easy and really quick to gauge how my team's workload is being managed. Now, if I want to assign someone to a task, it's really easy. I'm just going to click this task as an example. And right down here, I've got assign. And it's as simple as just clicking someone who I've added to this task board, and it adds them here. They get a notification telling them that they've been assigned to the task. So to help this person and to ensure that they're able to work with an understanding of what your expectations are, you can set due dates and start dates. So they've got a much better idea of when they should be putting time aside to do this. You can flag with them how urgent or important it is. And if you set them a task which maybe has quite a longer time period, you can even set reminders which both of you will be notified about. So down here, if you click on the alarm clock, see if we can put a reminder on the Wednesday, say 2:30, and you can leave yourself a note. So let's say check in to see how Dora doing with task. You can set as many reminders as you want, and that will just make it a lot easier for you to work out if a task is falling behind, or maybe if it could be finished earlier, rather than waiting for that due date to check in. It's a really, really great way of just making sure you don't miss anything and that you're consistently communicating with your team. So as well as being able to set things for your member of staff, like the start dates and due dates, they can use this panel to communicate with you as well. So they can change the status to in progress or on hold, or even if they're done, they can change that to completed, and they can give you an idea of what their progress is as well. The comment section is incredibly useful, especially as people are generally working remotely. You can have a conversation right on this task. So if I use the app button, I can get their attention. So the comments are a great way of keeping up to date with this particular task and keeping everything in one place. As you know, I'm sure you have all discovered that since lockdown, your inbox is fuller than ever. It can be really difficult to just filter through and find out what is actually relevant in your inbox. There are also so many other forms of communication, whether you're using different instant messages, people calling you on your phone, sending you text messages, WhatsApp groups. It can be very overwhelming to find information that's relevant to what you're actually talking about, while using the comments just keeps everything in one place. So, you want to discuss the Monday meeting very quickly, open the task and send a comment there. And that way, when you come to check it, it's all in one place. So the next thing I want to show you, which is so useful for when you are managing a team and you're just trying to check in with different people, is down the bottom here, we've got a filter. So you can actually filter by assignees. So if there's a particular person that perhaps you're having a team catch up with, let's say Rose, means you can filter out everything else and see exactly what they're working on. So you'll have an idea at a glance, what is their workload looking like, what have they got due and when, is there anything that's fallen behind, is there anything they haven't started yet. And it's just a really great way to keep a really visually striking way to track your team and what they're doing. So finally, just to show you the additional status, we've also got completed. And your completed tasks will remain in your task board forever. So if you go into completed, you'll see a list of every single completed task within that task board. So it's really easy for you to keep track of things that have been done. And it's really easy also to go back and have a look at any past conversations, any attachments. They're not lost forever by completing them. So if something's been finished too early, it's really easy. Just change that back to in progress, add that back to the task board. If something had been completed, but you realize there was an important document, you don't need to worry, because you're still going to be able to go back, get that task and the document that you needed. So this particular view that I'm looking at is the workflow view, and that's great for different projects or departments that have very particular processes that they need to follow. So whether that's in accounting or marketing, where you've got very particular steps that each task needs to go through, or different ways it needs to get signed off. But we also have an additional view which is available in Pro and Ultimate, called the Gantt timeline. So I'm just going to take you back to where I know the tasks are, and you can see here the tasks are shown along a timeline. So if you are managing your team remotely, again, this is a really quick and easy way to get a snapshot of where are we busy, where is there going to be a gap, do things need moving around, and where is progress being made, whilst other and you can also see exactly how far overdue things are as well. So we've got lots of different ways to just track your team, to allow positive and maximum communication, so you can intervene before things get too overwhelming. So as well as these task management and mind mapping and idea creation. We also have just basic instant chat, for when you need to grab someone's attention really quickly. So if you haven't used it before, you may not have seen it, but it's available in this top left-hand corner. And to start a new conversation, it's as easy as just keep clicking the blue icon. Just pick and choose who you need to chat to and start your conversation. So I say simple chat, but actually, we've got enhanced features in here which makes it so much more flexible than your everyday chat. So you can keep track of any attachments you've sent, and more importantly than that, you can see exactly what tasks you have sent each person you chat with. So you may be having a conversation with someone about work that they're doing or organizing a meeting, and as you're talking to them, you can check what have you sent them, what has been done. You can see your completed task history here, and this will show everything that you've asked them to do. Have they done it? And it gives you just a much better idea of how quickly they are getting through their tasks, and if there's a massive backlog there. You can also send tasks to them directly. So if there's something you need them to do, it might be a really quick task that doesn't need a task board, but you just want to send it to them quickly so they don't forget. Just click this little plus and tick option, and you can send them a new task here. So this is great for organizing one-to-ones, I find. You can see that unlike this task below it, there's no task board name, there's no category name. This is only visible to the pair of you. So, if there are tasks or meetings that you want to keep completely confidential, so just between the two of you, this is also a great option. Send the task through the chat rather than on an existing task board where you've got lots of people on there. And then once you've done that, you can edit the task in exactly the same way. So as well as just instant chat, if you've got Ultimate, you can also start video chat and launch a Zoom meeting as well. So in the one-to-one chats, it works just as you think it would. Just click start a Zoom meeting and log in using your usual Zoom credentials. So because I'm already on a Zoom call, I'm not really going to be able to demonstrate this bit to you. But the Jitsi option is a great option. If for any reason, you don't want to use Zoom and you want to just remain in the app without signing into anything else, Jitsi is an incredibly secure app. The video quality is really good, and it's also embedded as well. So as well as being able to launch that chat, in your one-to-one chats, you can also launch them straight from the task board, which will save you so much time and help you to work really flexibly. So if you decide, right, I really need to call a meeting about this particular project right now, you can just click and start either the Zoom meeting or the Ayoa video meeting, and it will invite everyone that's on that task board to that meeting. So you don't have to waste time, contacting people individually. You can literally just launch it from here. And you can do exactly the same thing in your mind maps as well. So as well as, being able to communicate, it can also be really useful to put up boundaries. As I'm sure a lot of you have discovered, when working from home, sometimes people don't understand, when, you're busy, when you need to be left alone. And that you can find that you're being chatted to constantly. If you're in your office, it's very clear when someone is talking to you because they're right there in front of you. You wouldn't have 10 people trying to have a conversation, different conversations with you all at once. But unfortunately, when you work remotely, that can happen without them knowing. So we added just an extra little feature enhancement. It's really, really simple, but you can edit your status here. So, you can say when you're away and at the office, put that boundary up. You can say, when you're busy, and you can even say when you're offline, and you can add a custom status in there as well. You can also, set a timer for it to automatically turn off as well. So this will turn off after an hour. And that just helps to make it really clear, when you need space and when you need to be left alone. Within the Ultimate subscription, we also have an additional option, which is exclusive for team plans. And this is called Team Pulse. And the idea behind this is that you can share what you're working on or what your day looks like with your team. For example, webinar afternoon meeting PM. So rather than having to contact multiple people or send out an email or have a meeting, we've literally just been able to put up a pulse updates where you've outlined what you're working on, what's coming up next, and when you're not going to be available. And you'll see other people's statuses as well. And as a company, we found that's just made things a lot more efficient. Generally, we'll begin the day by updating our pulse, and that way people know what other people are working on, because it can be very difficult when you're no longer working in the office to understand what other departments are working on. And that way you feel a lot more connected, even though you're all working in completely different places. So on the side here, you can see that I've also organized different people into groups. And this can be particularly useful if, in the year since lockdown started, perhaps you've had new people join the company. So, people may be working with people that they haven't even met yet, or they may not be aware of, where new hires are fit into the business. So this is a feature of Ultimate. So if you go up to the menu and go to groups, you can organize your team or different contacts into groups. So just click on the plus icon, name the group, and then add people in here. So groups in your Ayoa plan would literally be people who are part of your subscription plan. So if you've got a 10-user subscription plan, you'll be able to add the other 9 members to these groups. While the top part, your groups, can also include people who are external to your team. So they might be contacts that you work with on a regular basis, but aren't part of your subscription. So that can include stakeholders and clients. And you may find it useful to organize those into different groups so that all your team have a much better idea of the context and where different people are working and who they're more likely to work with. It also makes it a lot easier when creating new mind maps or boards and chats, as instead of just adding individuals, you can add entire groups instead. You can do exactly the same on chat as well. So you can see, as well as these suggested contacts, I can also see groups as well. Okay, so I've just gone through a couple of different ideas and features that will help you work more flexibly with your team. So what I'm going to do now is just ask you guys, if you have any questions over any of the features that I've shown you today, or if there's anything else that you're unsure of and would like some help with. So just while I'm waiting for some questions, I'm just going to open up this mind map, which just shows you, how you can find out more about using Ayoa. So we've got a huge range of support guides on support.ayoa.com. If you pop to our YouTube channel, we've got a couple of playlists, including a playlist of previous webinars. So if you want to find out more about using particular features, whether that's mind maps or task boards, there'll be a webinar there to help you. And if you've got any additional questions that you can't find the answer to, just send us an email at support@ayoa.com and we will be delighted to help. So next week, I believe we'll be doing a webinar that focuses on mind mapping. So I hope you'll join us for that. There don't seem to be any questions, so I really hope that you found this webinar helpful. But if there's anything after this webinar ends that you realize, oh, I should have asked that, don't worry, just pop us an email at support@ayoa.com and I'd be delighted to help. Okay, so someone's got a question about how you upload the videos and visuals. Okay, so there's a few different ways of doing that. So depending on whether you're doing a mind map or a whiteboard or a task board. So on a mind map, if you want to add an image, just click on the formatting brush. And at the top here, you can see image. You can either upload an image, add an emoji, or if you click search, you can search for a royalty-free website. And that will allow you to add an image there. So it's not possible to add videos onto the mind map, but you could add a link to YouTube on here, which would be able to add here, and you'd be able to access very quickly. On the whiteboards, we've recently added a new feature which does allow you to add embedded videos. So I'm just going to quickly show you how to do that. So to add an embedded video on a whiteboard, click on attachments. And you can add the link here. So I don't have a video to hand actually, but I don't think I'm going to be able to play without causing a lot of noise. Hang on, I'll see if I have a previous example for you. Okay, so just while I'm looking for an example of a video, does anyone else have any questions? Okay, so it doesn't look like anyone else has any questions. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to find our help guide for you, which is all about attaching YouTube videos. I'm just sending that in the Q&A, so you should be able to see that. And that demonstrates exactly how to use that. I'll also pop that in the chat as well so that everyone's able to see it. Okay, so I hope everyone found that helpful. If there are any other questions you can think of after this webinar ends, just pop us over an email at support.ayoa.com and I'd be delighted to help. Thank you very much for joining me today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you.